conference in the world for child and youth care like this one. And my friends from Scotland and from other countries are experiencing this for the first time, I think. So thank you for your warm welcome. I also didn't know there were big screens here that we could see from the stage. Everything's been so well organized here. So I'm leading off this panel. Excuse my voice, it's kind of leaving me from time to time. I've been on the road for 3 weeks, and that seems to affect my voice sometimes. This morning, I'll do my best to offer, as I've been asked to do, a brief overview of the foundations and potential of child and youth care as a profession. I'm sure I'm going to echo pretty much all the themes that have been raised over the last day, especially from Kiaris and from our good friend Don Matera. First, some basic facts. Our roots extend back about 1,700 years to the first orphanages and group homes that were established in Constantinople under Emperor Constantine. So residential group care has been at the root of child and youth care work for many, many years. And much of what I've learned myself was learned in that 24/7 environment. As was mentioned, I began my career working with children 24 hours a day who could not live at home for various reasons. And I think it's important to acknowledge that much of the foundation of our profession has emerged from that experience. No other group lives with children 24 hours a day or is willing to do that work. I would like those of you who work in residential care to please stand up and be recognized. All of you who work in residential facilities, could you please stand up? Please. Thank you so much for the essential work that you do, and pretty much what I learned in child and youth care in residential work has carried me through my research, my teaching, my policy work. It has been the foundation for my own career. It's important to also acknowledge that our professional DNA shares many ancestors with many other professions, such as education, psychiatry, medicine, psychology, social work, and others. Many of the names are known to you who've studied child and youth care, from Pestalozzi, Montessori, Dewey, Korchak, Bosco, Piaget, Kohlberg, many others, to name a few. But it's primarily over the last 80 years that child and youth care has emerged as a unique and valuable profession in the suite of human services around the world. And I especially want to acknowledge some of the pioneers from South Africa. I don't think many outside South Africa realize that Alan Paton, who wrote Cry the Beloved Country, actually was a pioneer in providing services in Diepkloof. He changed the way that services were being provided well ahead of his time. And also, of course, our own Brian Gannon, who has written a great deal that's available through CYCnet, not only in South Africa, but around the world. Yes. It's perhaps useful to make a few distinctions as we discuss the profession of child and youth care. So the first level would be the child and youth care work, the practice or praxis of working with young people. We also have the child and youth care profession, and that consists of the organization, the governance, the collective identity of child and youth care, which we're talking a lot about at this conference. But there's also the child and youth care discipline, and that's the body of knowledge and skill that's been built up over many, many years, which is also developed further through research and practice wisdom that's shared in many of our formal training programs and educational settings. And then I think we must acknowledge the child and youth care field, which we share with many other disciplines who are represented here today. So child and youth care is one profession, as we've heard repeatedly, amongst many. And so we share a commitment to children with many other parts of the field of child and youth care. However, I think that the constellation of elements which I'm about to present create a unique approach. I think the unwavering focus on the child is something that has always been at the heart of child and youth care work. And while other professions may deal with the child in part, ours is probably the only profession that focuses on the child as the number one priority, always. I think, secondly, our passionate commitment to walking alongside and living with children in their environments, in what we have heard already as their life space or life worlds. And I think that entails a deep listening to the perspective of the child on their own experience. We don't guess at what the child needs. We try and read the child in order to understand from the inside. A third element, I think, of child and youth care is that relational engagement, which again, Kiara's talked about yesterday, and the relational practice guided by the needs and the voices of the children, both verbal and nonverbal. And fourthly, there's a phrase from Janusz Korczak, a Polish social pedagogue, child and youth care worker, educator, who said that we need to care for the soul of the child. And that's always stuck with me as a very powerful way of saying we're not just trying to heal bodies or shape minds or change behavior. We're trying to relate as whole people to the wholeness of the child. And I think those four characteristics are very much at the heart of child and youth care work. Thank you. Now, as to our potential, I think that our evolution as a profession has demonstrated the flexibility and innovation and creativity of child and youth care as a profession. I think in recent years, child and youth care has moved out of the residential settings because the needs of children are everywhere. So child and youth care workers are increasingly, as Kiara said yesterday, being found everywhere, especially in school settings and in the community through programs such as Isabindi. And personally speaking, I think the future of child and youth care work is in Africa. I have to round off very soon. I'm just finishing, actually. So, as to the potential of child and youth care work, I think we just need no more than to look around this room. I think the potential of child and youth care as a profession is as rich and infinite as the abilities and the souls of the people with whom we work. So I thank you for being child and youth care workers. It's gratifying to look around the world and see so many new child and youth care workers picking up the torch and supporting children. Thank you very much.